Hi guys, on to Rufio, it's Joe here. Apologies if there's any crazy noises in the background. My missus is watching TV next door and she's watching Geordie Shore, but if you've ever watched that, it gets a little bit rowdy, so you may hear some weird noises. Apologies if that comes up. I'm sure we'll be okay. So anyway, we've had some new support recently come out for Dark Magician in Duel Power, and I really wanted to bring you this deck. It's a deck that I've wanted to do for a little while. It has a really good cult following in the game. It's just one of the original monsters. It's like Blue Eyes, it's like Red Eyes. Has people that really want to play the decks themed around it. So I decided to get everything together so I could show you guys the deck that I've been playing with online and testing and that kind of thing. I think this is definitely ready to take to locals and have some fun with. Yeah, I wanted to share it with you. I've tried to avoid putting in too many high cost cards and things like that, but you could definitely substitute some of these options for better cards if you've got them. But this is just the, I guess, more budget friendly version that I've been running. So I thought I'd bring it to you. I'll talk you through some of the effects because they can get a little bit wordy, particularly in the extra deck. So if I do slow down in those bits, never mind me, it's just me going through that. So we'll start off with our monsters as usual. So we've got Triple Dark Magician. It wouldn't be a Dark Magician deck without it. Not much to say here. It doesn't have an effect, of course. I decided to go with Duel Power art just for consistency. And yeah, so that's Triple Dark Magician. Pretty straightforward. Moving on, we have one Dark Magician Girl. So Dark Magician Girl was something that I really wanted to include in this. It doesn't get a lot of play in Dark Magician decks in general, so I really wanted to get it included. We have some cool cards to add some synergy between her and Dark Magician as well. So yeah, included her. She gains some attack for each one in the graveyard, however, it's not very often that they actually stay there. We then have Triple Apprentice Illusion Magician. I've seen some lists around this at 2. I really like it at 3. It's basically a free summon with a discard, and of course she acts as kind of like a, almost like an honest from hand. You can also use her from the field to do the same thing. Boost your attack by 2,000. Yeah, it's really good. It gets Dark Magicians into your hand. It's a free summon. What's not to like? Again, a 3, absolutely perfect. I never feel that I'm bricking on them. I decided to try something a little bit different. Amulet Dragon Zirnitron. So when a spell or trap leaves the field, because of your opponent's effect, you can special summon this, I believe, from the grave or hand. It also has the effect that when it's summoned, it can kip up a spell or trap from your grave and set it. But then it's banished when it leaves the field. It's just a cool bit of synergy. It just means that you can set some of your important traps and get your plays going again if you get a little bit stuck. Yeah, it's worked really nicely for me in testing, so I quite like it. So I would definitely recommend trying that as a one-off. We've got one Magician of Dark Illusion. It's treated as Dark Magician while it's on the field. Yeah, it's got a couple of other cool effects. So if it's activated, if there's a spell or trap activated during your opponent's turn, you can special summon this. So if you activate, one of your own spells or traps during your opponent's turn, you can special summon this. It also has an effect where it gets Dark Magician out of the grave. Yeah, it's pretty cool as a one-off. I definitely wouldn't run more than one. It can get a little bit bricky. We have Triple Magician's Rod. This is going to help you see your Dark Magician spells and traps. And that's pretty much it. That's essentially what it's there for. It's just to see those plays a little bit quicker. It does have a secondary effect where you can get it out of the grave. I don't find it comes up very often. I think just its main effect is the most important one. We then have 2 Keeper of Dragon Magic. I was going to say Dragonic Magic. I think that's what it was called in the rough translation. But basically, this gets poly to your hand. It also helps you get fusion materials out of your graveyard to the field based on if they're listed on a fusion. And then, yeah, obviously you can go into your fusion plays from there. It's just really good. Yeah, I like it. It's really handy. Helps you see your plays quicker. We then have one Dark Grepher and one Armageddon Knight. So these two kind of go hand in hand. These two little brothers have been problematic in the game, to say the least. Both at 1 now, for a very good reason. These are going to help you just dump either your Zirnitron or your Dark Magicians into grave so that you can scoop them out a little bit easier. So you're not hard drawing them because that's not really what you want. Yeah, it's just going to help you get there, see those plays a little bit quicker. Dark Grepher can be a free summon if you've got one in hand that you don't mind ditching, that you can later summon. Yeah, pretty much it. And then we round off our monster count with Triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Again, it's had a reprint recently, so very cheap to get now in compared to what it has been in the past. It hits most cards in the game. Yeah, it's just really good. If you're going to play a hand trap, this is definitely one to play. And yeah, that's pretty much it for monsters. We then move on to our spells and traps. So again, the lineup isn't too crazy. We've got Triple Dark Magical Circle. Again, this lets you excavate cards from the top of your deck and add a Dark Magician card to your hand, and then you put the other 2 back in any order. It also gives you an effect where it can banish cards on the field when a Dark Magician is summoned. And yeah, really, really good. Really good spot removal, that kind of thing. Pretty important to play at 3 in my opinion. We've got triple Allure of Darkness, because again, the deck does have some bricking issues, and if you can banish something that really is just sat in your hand and not doing anything, and then you can draw 2 more cards, and that seems like a pretty good deal to me. And everything you're running is basically dark apart from the Ashes, so no reason not to run it. We've got 2 Polymerization, but running plenty of fusion options in the deck. So yeah, 2 polys, perfect, and again, they're searchable off Keeper of Dragon Magic. This was something that I wanted to include for a little while now, so when I heard it was coming out, it was the reason that I've decided to put Dark Magician Girl into the deck. So that if you control a Dark Magician, you can switch summon Dark Magician Girl from your deck, or your graveyard, so it doesn't matter which one it's in. Again, your Armageddon Knight, your Gref, or whatever can dump it, it's not a problem. And then you can then get your Dark Magic attack basically from the deck. There are a couple of other options, so you can get Dark Burning attack, Dark Burning Magic, or Dark Magic Twin Burst. We're not running any of the others in there. But you get to put them straight onto the field. You can only activate one of these per turn, but it's a really, really good way to get some pluses onto your field. We have 1 Monster Reborn. It's a free extender. You run plenty of beat sticks, so being able to summon stuff out of the grave is really cool. Again, you're going to be dumping your Dark Magicians really, really quick, and this is just another way to get them out of the grave. We've got 1 Illusion Magic, which is tributing a spellcaster to add 2 Dark Magicians from deck or grave to hand. You can only activate 1 per turn. Just a really cool tech. This is something that Brandon was using in the deck profile I did with him a couple of months back, I believe now. And it works really, really nicely. I think it's a one-off, maybe not more than that. Dark Magic attack, it's Heavy Storm essentially. Well, Harpy Feathers Duster. As long as you control a Dark Magician, you can just blow out all your opponent's back row. Again, we've got plenty of ways to get Dark Magician on the field and plenty of ways to search this. So, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We've got 1 Rotor, so we're running reinforcement of the army because we want to get Armageddon and Greffer as quickly as possible. So yeah, just that's pretty much it. And then Super Poly. So Super Poly can double up as a bit of a trap in your opponent's turn. Like I say, we've got plenty of fusion targets, and the discard is no problem at all because putting Dark Magician into your grave really doesn't matter in this deck. If anything, it's quite beneficial. Also, the fact that we run, there's a fusion or 2 that we can use opponents' cards for, depending on what they're playing. They can play into our favour and maybe take advantage of what they're playing themselves. I think 1 is fine. I know that this has come off the list now, up to 2. I think 1 is absolutely okay. I wouldn't run the second one. It doesn't really warrant it, in my opinion. And that's it for the spells. Move on to our traps. So we've got triple Magician Navigation. So this is going to help you special summon your Dark Magicians out. It also has a secondary effect where when it's banished from the graveyard, you can target a face-up spell or trap your opponent controls, and it has its effect negated. So with Pendulums coming up and being more prominent in the game at the moment, with Salamangreat having things like Will of the Salamangreat and that kind of stuff, you can just switch off your opponent's card effects, and that's quite cool. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Oh, and when it does summon, you get Dark Magician, you get another card from deck as well. So again, it just keeps your plays going around really, really good. Actually, I would recommend 3 of those. We have 2 Eternal Soul. So I was running this at 3 and I cut it to 2. It's quite nice at those ratios, in my opinion. Its first effect is basically just to special summon a Dark Magician. And then the second effect is that you can add a Dark Magic attack from, or 1,000 lives, from your deck to your hand. That's not one that I really use, but this gets them from hand or grave, which is really, really cool. Unfortunately, if it's blown up, you lose all your monsters, but it just keeps your plays going around. It means you've always got a Dark Magician on the field at all times. And then we're running double Eradicate Epidemic Virus. So again, this is still very strong at the moment. Less so than it maybe was in the last format, but I think it's still warranted its place. Particularly, you know, with the decks that are coming out and going forward, I think this is going to be really handy. This deck does struggle with things like Altergeist because they've got so many interrupts. So this is going to help you just blow out the back row. I think 2 is fine. 3 is way too many and cloggy. If we were running a more stun-heavy variant, then I would probably up this to 3 with like Secret Village of the Spellcasters and that kind of thing. But I think 2, it's absolutely fine. Again, with all these decks, we're not running a side deck option, so apologies, there'll be none of that. It is just pretty much format dependent and how your locals or regionals or whatever you're going to are and how the format develops. So we'll go straight into the extra deck. So we've got Dark Magician and the Dragon Knight. This is really, really problematic for a lot of decks to actually out. So basically, when it's on the field, it's treated as Dark Magician or in the graveyard. Your opponent can't target spell and traps you control with card effects, and also they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So this helps protect your Eternal Soul and some of the other plays. People really, really struggle to out this once it's established on the field with any kind of backup. You'll be surprised how many decks just can't deal with this. So 2 of those is perfect. I don't think a 3rd is necessary. We've got one Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, so this is the Dark Magician Girl equivalent of it. So this is basically just discard a card and pop a card on the field, pretty much it. But of course it's an alternative to the Dark Magician version. We've then got one Amulet Dragon. So Amulet Dragon needs to be fusion summoned using blah, which we don't ever do, or using these particular materials. So we've got one Dragon Monster, which is where we use our Keeper, a Dragonic Magic. Yeah, and then it just banishes all the spells, which is really, really good. It's super handy against Sky Strikers, although they've taken a hit recently. It gets a load of attack, it just banishes all their spells, and then it just goes crazy from there. Against some decks, it's really, really strong. There's Dark Cavalry, so this is one of the better ones for the Super Poly targets. Fortunately, now that we're running Armageddon Knight and Greffa, we've got another way to get this out as well. But basically, it gains Pierce, and it gains attack for each spell and trap in both players' graveyards and on the field, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, on the field and in the graveyard, sorry. And then also, if your opponent uses an effect that targets a card on your side of the field, you can discard a card and negate and destroy it. And that's also not once per turn, which is just absolutely crazy. So not only is this going to end up with massive attack, it also does pierce, so it's going through anything that they put down, and it's got a protection effect as well. This is really, really strong, and I definitely would recommend running it yourself. We move on to our Xseed summons. So we've got one Naruto. So Naruto is a free spell or trap negate, basically. You can make it using your Apprentice magicians. It doesn't come up too often, but it is an option if you get stuck and you feel the need to go into it. We've then got Ebon Illusion Magician. The effect on this is really, really long, so I will read it to you as we go along. So you can also Xseed summon this using a rank 6 spellcaster type, which you don't really do, although you could go, I guess, into Naruto first. Once per turn, you can detach one Xseed material from this card and special summon one spellcaster type normal monster from your hand or deck. When a spellcaster type normal monster declares an attack, you can target one card your opponent controls and banish it, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So that's the first one down, so that's Ebon Illusion Magician. We also have Ebon High Magician. So Ebon High Magician, again, it's another wall of text card. So while this card has a material, you can activate a quick play spell or trap during quick play spell card or a trap card during your opponent's turn by detaching one material from the card. If it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if the Xseed summon card you control is sent to the graveyard, you can, by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one dark spellcaster type monster from your deck and then destroy one card on the field. So again, it just continues with a good synergy, just massive wall of text on each of them, which makes it an absolute pain in the ass to describe to you. Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, this was a card that I thought was going to get hit on the list. Fortunately, it didn't. It's just going to burn your opponent out for loads. Really, really easy to make. It does have a fringe effect where you can get Red Eyes, but we're not playing Red Eyes in this, so we don't really care. Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack, so just making tokens, yeah, and then just popping cards. It can be really, really robust and quite difficult for your opponent to deal with if they're not prepared for the card. We've got Big Eyes, so you can just steal your opponent's monsters. It can't attack when it does it, but yeah, just stealing problematic monsters and get rid of them is really, really important. Yeah, just really good card to have. Linkuriboh, just for the tokens, basically, just so you've got another way to make play. We've got one Wee Witch's Apprentice, 2 any dark monsters, basically. Doesn't come up all the time, but it does give you an extra 2 zones to summon to, and you can get some really beefy cards out, especially stuff like Dark Cavalry's behind it. We've got one Nightmare Phoenix and one Nightmare Unicorn. So just 2 Nightmare monsters this time round. Normally I will use 3 in most of my builds. Just really good utility cards. Popping back row is really important in this. I think monsters are less of an issue for you to deal with. So it's not always necessary to be able to pop the special summon monsters with Cerberus. So this is good for that. But when you do have the problematic monsters, you've got Unicorn to deal with it. So that's it for the deck, guys. Thank you very much for checking in. Yeah, like I said, I've been wanting to put this together for you for a while. I wanted to have a Dark Magician Girl variant, so we had an option to go into it. And to play something that isn't normally played in the deck. I think that it does have some really cool synergy. It's normally a bit of a brick, but now with the extra cards it makes it a bit more viable. So thank you very much for checking in, guys. I really appreciate it. Big shout out to Mark at Manascrew for helping me out with these videos, as always. You can check me out on all my social media accounts up here. I've also got an Instagram, which is also at RufioYT. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I'm afraid that's all we have time for in this video. If by chance you haven't had enough of listening to me waffle at you through a video about a children's card game, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links are on the screen, or if you're feeling really lazy, you can click the links in the description. While you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content too. It'll make me smile, I promise. And who can ask for more than that? Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.